Hey girl, what you doing? Listening to the Be Everything and More podcast, baby. Let's fucking go. Welcome to the Be Everything and More podcast. For those of you watching on YouTube, I am so excited that I get to show you this super fun pink furry jacket that I'm so in love with right now. And I wanted to dress like it was Valentine's Day for a reason. And that's because we're going to be talking about dating your business. Now, just like Valentine's, that is a one day a year holiday, I'm going to need you to date your business a little bit more than that. And that's why we're talking about this in September. Okay. So I got this idea after a lunch I had with a money mentor friend of mine a couple of years ago. We were talking about the concept of money, and she shared with me this really fun insight that was like, okay, Caitlin. Now, you just told me that you want money to show up for you, to perform for you, to do X, Y, and Z for you. Now, I want you to imagine that money was your partner, like your lover. And would you treat it the same way? And that kind of like stopped me in my tracks for a second because the answer was no. Like, of course, I would not demand my partner to do something for me and to show up for me in the way that I said and the way that I wanted it to be. I would allow there to be like an element of romance and surprise and fun, right? Playfulness. And so, since that moment, I have not only thought of money differently, and it has shown up in very abundant ways in my life, but I started to think of my business in this way. So, before we get into this really fun episode, I wanted to ask you this question. I want you to sit with it. When is the last time you actually romanced and dated your business? Your business is just like a relationship. Think about the first time. Well, okay, let me stop you there. If you haven't had a good relationship, I don't know how great this analogy is going to be, but just think about when you had those first dates and maybe there was somebody you really had that like initial spark with, right? Like there was the butterflies. Maybe you guys wrote each other little letters. Maybe they sent you flowers. There was just such a like whimsical time. It was so fun. Everything was like on cloud nine. And I love that period in a relationship because you need it. That's where you're starting to get to know each other. But they haven't seen you brush your teeth yet. They haven't seen you wake up in the morning without makeup on. They haven't seen you pee with the door open. That's a whole conversation for a different day. But those are the things that aren't like as sexy in a relationship, but that happen after a long period of time of being together. But it's the unsexy things like the routines, the discussion of finances, the figuring out each other's quirks that really make a relationship last. And honestly, it's the exact same way as your business. When your business is new, it's exciting. You have so many different ideas. You're trying to figure out who to serve. But that kind of energy is not sustainable, and neither is it in a relationship. A long-term business requires a little bit of monotony, routine, checking in on finances, going back and having similar conversations with clients and hanging in there for the unsexy stuff, because ultimately what's really brewing is self-trust and this gorgeous romantic relationship. Now, just like the relationship you're having with humans, right? You have to put time into those relationships. You can't constantly be doing new things over and over again, or it starts to feel like a little bit like a jump scare. So, I want to share with you how to bring this like monotony and this consistency into your business relationship so that you can keep it romantic and fun and alive and not feel like you get bored. So you just have to like create chaos because that's what really happens. I know that before the relationship that I'm in now, I had a lot of instability in my romantic, like real life relationships. And any time that things were going well, I will admit that I probably started a little bit of drama. And not because I'm a drama starter, but it's just that my like nervous system felt unsafe with such stability. That wasn't something I was used to. And so it wasn't until that I fixed that in my human relationships, because I certainly don't do that anymore, that I saw how that impacted my business. There were times early on in entrepreneurship where if things felt like boring, like, oh my gosh, I've just been, even if things were working, right? Like, even if money was coming in and I was getting clients and growing my followers and all of that, I still felt like I needed something new. Like, I needed that excitement. And honestly, every single time you introduce something new, there's a learning curve. And oftentimes, what it does is that it throws off the trajectory of the thing that was going right. Think about, like, I know in my current marriage, anytime we hit a bump in the road, which isn't often, again, there's that learning curve. We have to sit down at the table, we have to get through it before we can keep moving on. So, I want to share with you a couple of things that I do regularly in my business to really keep the romance alive and keep falling in love with what I do, because romance in entrepreneurship is the key. It's the key because you're going to be doing this a really long time. So, you need to love it. One of the ways that I love to romanticize my business is to ritualize the work that I do. So, what that might look like is going to a coffee shop, for example, and putting myself in this really fun environment where I'm, looking at other people. I'm stimulated by the noise. Maybe they have some like fun jazz music on, or, there's good scenery out the window. And that sort of gets me in the mood to be creative and feel excited to be in a new environment. I also love to take inspiration walks. So there's a lot of times if I'm feeling like bored by something I'm doing, or it's feeling repetitive, I love to get outside and be inspired by nature, and natural like movement in the body gets me really excited. And I also love to make playlists. So I have a lot of playlists. If you follow me on Spotify, I create playlists that you can also use. I'll tag them in the show notes, but that's one of the ways that I ritualize the work that I'm doing and continually stimulate myself to fall in love with what I'm doing. The other thing that I do is once a week minimum, that's usually on Fridays, I do what I call like 5-minute obsession drops. Because if you're not obsessed, like really fucking obsessed with your offers, it's going to be impossible for your future clients to become obsessed. So I spend 5 minutes, I'll put on a little timer, and I will write down why I'm obsessed with this particular offer. That might look like writing down a share from a current client that, something like a breakthrough they had this week, or how it's showing up and impacting their life. I write about how that offer created that space for that client to have that win. Or maybe I think about how that offer gave me the money to be able to take my family on this experience, right? And it's something that I never would have been able to do had I not created that offer. So I find time every single week to get really fucking obsessed. I love the word obsessed because it perfectly encapsulates the way that I feel about this community and the things that I do. And it's really important that you feel the same way. I mean, think about it. Before you decide to tie the knot with someone and get married, you should be pretty fucking obsessed with that person, of course, in a healthy way. But the same goes for your offers. So spend a little time getting obsessed. The next thing I love to do is surprise my business, right? And what that might look like is a fun collab. Right now, I'm in the works with a really good friend of mine to create something really fun together for 2026. And this also might look like creating a playful offer, like just a one-off thing for the summertime or um recently when I did the retreat in Greece, I did these really fun like pop-up playful offers as I was doing like a takeoff. So, this special only exists between like the time I take off and the time I land. And those are really fun ways to just like interject some play. So think about surprising your business with a fun collab with a fellow female founder or a brand, or creating like a fun pop-up playful offer for a season or something that's happening in pop culture. The other thing that you can do if you're feeling a little bit kind of bored or unstimulated by your business is dress it up. Hence this fabulous fur jacket that I'm wearing today. But I don't literally mean dress up and style your business, but kind of. It could be that you do a new brand photo shoot. It could be that you uh, spruce up your color palette or get a little more creative on your branding or add a blog to your website. There's lots of different ways that you can zhuzh, if you will. I love that word, zhuzh it up. There's a lot of different ways that you can dress up, zhuzh up your brand that makes it feel new. If you haven't done that in a while, it can be something that like really reinvigorates your creativity. I recently did this not only with this podcast, but with my website, with a brand photo shoot. And let me tell you, the Beam Life has been around now for nearly 6 years. And this recent overhaul, I've been obsessed, to use the word I've been using, but it made me fall even more in love and obsessed with what it is because it's evolved with me as a person too. So as I get more bold and audacious and creative, I want my brand to like flow along with me in that way. And lastly, one of my favorite ways to fall back in love with my business is to take it out. Literally take your business out. And what I mean by that is so much of our like business relationships are done online. And so, when is the last time you took your business to like a really fun networking event? Or maybe you created a retreat or a local community opportunity for all of you to gather at a wine shop or a coffee shop. So, think of spaces that your people might be at or a place that you could share your business to that could feel really fun to take your business literally out on a date. So I'm curious, your homework after listening to this episode is to tell me how you are going to date your business this week. I just gave you a long laundry list of a lot of different ways that this could look for you. And depending on what stage you're in with your business, like if you're still in that first like 1 or 2 year early relationship phases, like maybe you do need to work on a little bit more of the consistency and like the monotony of your business. And maybe if you've been in business for a really long time, you need to do something a little bit more on the extreme side, like the rebrand or a new photo shoot or adding something like a collab into your offer suite. So lots of things to do, but I can't wait to hear how it feels to romanticize and spend time with your business because your business is literally identical to your human relationships that you have. It can only give you the time and attention that you give it. And I guarantee that if you spend some time doing this month, right? In the next 30 days, I promise it's going to have an impact on your bottom line and the way, most importantly, your clients receive your services, your energy, and the way that they feel about your brand. So I can't wait to see what you do. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with a friend, subscribe, review. You know what to do. Anyway, go out there and be fun and flirty, babes. I'll see you back here next week.